Tonight on the Black Channel.
Today's hearing has already brought new, very revealing information about Anthony and Austin Metcalf. That was never brought up at trial, by the way. J.D. Miles has been in the courtroom through this day, and he has the new details.
Well, we expect the hearing today to wrap up at any moment and testimony to continue tomorrow. As many of you know, there was a private off-the-record agreement during the murder trial by both sides to keep the sordid backgrounds of Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf, their character and their criminal history, private and out of view of the jury, so they could focus solely on what happened under the tent last year at that Frisco track meet. Now, both sides have decided to release that background history, with the defense going first, releasing 20 pages of Austin Metcalf's behavioral history. Carmelo Anthony was dressed in a suit and tie for this morning's hearing, which began with the defense arguing that efforts by the trial judge and prosecutors to combat threats and deal with disruptions actually prevented Anthony from getting an open and fair trial. But bombshell testimony came this afternoon from Anthony's trial attorney, Mike Howard, about Austin Metcalf's background report that was never presented to the jury. CBS News Texas has also learned new details about Austin Metcalf's background. Metcalf and his brother Hunter were once caught spray painting graffiti, including KKK Kill All Blacks and Heil Hitler, along with the N-word, and were sentenced to 12 months of juvenile probation. Records reveal they report.
Yeah. One more again.
The trial judge and prosecutors to combat threats and deal with disruptions actually prevented Anthony from getting an open and fair trial. But bombshell testimony came this afternoon from Anthony's trial attorney, Mike Howard, about Austin Metcalf's background report that was never presented to the jury. CBS News Texas has also learned new details about Austin Metcalf's background. Metcalf and his brother Hunter were once caught spray painting graffiti, including KKK Kill All Blacks and Heil Hitler, along with the N-word, and were sentenced to 12 months of juvenile probation. Records reveal they reportedly told authorities, "We did some dumb stuff. We did some vandalism." There are several documented instances of Austin using racial slurs in school, and in 2023, Austin was accused of bullying a black student in class. In 2018,
pattern of behavior, anyone? Kill all blacks, KKK, Heil Hitler. Then he's bullying black students at school. Pattern of behavior, anyone? Because remember, Megan Ku Klux Kelly and the rest of these folk were telling us that this didn't exist, remember? They said that this doesn't exist. They said that this wasn't happening. They said there was no proof of this. They said this wasn't occurring. Remember?
Months of juvenile probation. Records reveal they reportedly told authorities, "We did some dumb stuff. We did some vandalism." There are several documented instances of Austin using racial slurs in school.
Several documented incidents of Austin Metcalf using racial slurs in school. Did you get that? Not one, several. I need to remind you all here that, by the way, during the trial, they didn't want to release any of this information to the public. I know, because me and people around me, we tried to get this information, and they said they were not releasing it, remember? They claimed up and down that, there was no criminal history, and then they wouldn't release any information. No wonder, because, it's long. Yeah, no wonder they hid all this and denied it and refused to release anything, because hell yeah. I mean, it's not just one random incident. This is a pattern of behavior.
And in 2023, Austin was accused of bullying a black student in class. In 2018, while still in elementary school, Austin and his brother were accused of bullying and assaulting a female, which led to his arrest.
People, if this were Carmelo Anthony that they were talking about, why, Megan Ku Klux Kelly and the rest of the white supremacist media, Well, what? They'd be yelling from the rooftops about black culture and single moms and Negro culture. Why, that's what they'd be saying. They'd be talking about no father in the home, and it must be the rap music, and well, it's a genocide. Why, that's what they'd be saying. What about all these black youths running around here? That's what they'd be saying. Notice they're all quiet now. They're not saying a word. They're leaving it up to their white supremacist bots. They're not saying a word. Did you recognize that? They're not saying anything. Not a thing. Not a thing. Did you all get that? Oh, man. Not accidental here, isn't it? All the way back to elementary school. And they're just now telling you, well, why is that relevant? Because it never stopped. I mean, we're talking about two hellraisers here. These are two hellraisers here. If they were bothering a female student, nobody would have said anything if it was minor. That lets you know this was not a... They're really watering down the incident and not giving you all the details about it. That's what's going on there. They're not doing that.
During an argument in 2024 with another female student, Austin allegedly knocked her to the ground and punched her in the stomach. He was also kicked out of a football game. An argument in 2024 with another female student, Austin allegedly knocked her to the ground and punched her in the stomach.
In 2024? Did you all get that? $2024. Uh-huh. Does this sound like Kyle Rittenhouse? Sound like Kyle Rittenhouse, anybody? Anybody get that? This all sounds very familiar. Doesn't it? The pattern of behavior with them just passing it up. Now, for a black child, if you're posting online with a toy gun, you're a thug. The white males, however, can assault people all over the place, and boys will be boys. Isn't that interesting the way they always treat it? Never shocking. It doesn't matter how extreme their behavior is. Oh, well, boys will be boys. And yeah, he's over 6 feet tall, remember? He's over 6 feet tall. He's beating up everything across the countryside. He's assaulting at will. And they're just... No wonder he took it to this extreme. Look, for his whole life, they've been passing him along and saying, oh, well, ho-hum. Had this been Carmelo Anthony, this would be the only thing that the white supremacist media would be talking about. That would be all they'd be saying.
Austin and his brother were accused of bullying and assaulting a female, which led to his arrest. During an argument in 2024 with another female student, Austin allegedly knocked her to the ground and punched her in the stomach. He was also kicked out of a football game and texted someone later, "I was about to beat the expletive out of those kids." At a previous track meet, when another student alerted Austin that someone not on their team, quote, behind our bench was talking wild, Austin reportedly replied, "Kill that MF."
Yeah, nothing violent here. No, a model citizen here, right? Innocent victim, 6'2" and 220 pounds. And then you find out he's got a long history of assaulting people and racism. Long history. And they just swept this under the rug, the whole district. I want y'all to understand, this is racism. Right here. When you have a system, if you're out there by yourself, that's not racism. Racism is a systemic practice when you do something and everybody circles the wagons and gathers around you to impose power to protect you. That's racism. A group phenomena where the system systemically comes together to endorse and protect your behavior at every turn. That's racism. Right there. If there is no system and there is no power, there is no racism. And now that the actual evidence is coming out, everything that we said, what do you know? All the so-called rumors were true. Now let's back this up to the trial. All the folks who got on the stand, junior bed wenches in training included. I said it. Damn. Why, this seems to go completely contrary to any testimony talking about they were just good guys and nice dudes and good old boys and they never did nothing to nobody. What about the girl just the year before? What about her? That was just the year before they attacked Carmelo Anthony. What about her? So y'all didn't see that? He has a long history of threatening or attacking people at these football training, at football games. Y'all didn't see that neither, huh? So much for your so-called classmates and anybody who took the stand. So they didn't see any of that, right? You got the school documenting this. The defense is showing, hey, this was documented. How is it that they did all this and allegedly you classmates, y'all didn't see none of this? How is that possible? He was doing all this and they never saw it. Because you see, these are questions you want to ask on the stand. Is wait a minute now. If he was a model citizen, explain all this other stuff here. I didn't know that about that. Okay, well then it seems like you're not really a credible source of information to go to because he's got a long history of doing this at this school. Before he got here, while he's here, he's got a long history of doing this. So next time some dumbass sits up here and tries to tell you about what happened in court and happened on the stand, by the way, the folks on the stand, not a single one of them seemed to recall this laundry list of incidents and infractions. None of them seem to remember, none of them witnessed any of that. Everything just fine. Okay.
Previous track meet when another student alerted Austin that someone not on their team, quote, behind our bench was talking wild, Austin reportedly replied, "Kill that MF." During the 2023-2024 school year, he received in-school suspension twice. School disciplinary records from April 2022 to May 2024 reveal that Austin reportedly called a teacher the B word and used profanity. He told a school official that he couldn't control it and wasn't aware that it was coming out of his mouth.
Once again, if this had been Trayvon Martin, if this had been Carmelo Anthony, the white supremacist media, that's all they be talking about is he was in school calling teachers the B word and he was out of control and rap music and ghetto culture and black culture. And do y'all hear he was on a damn rampage just like Kyle Rittenhouse, just like Dylan Klebold and Harris at Columbine, just like Ethan Crumley. Do you see this damn list? They've created this fabricated, phony, false, black male monster image in order to conceal this. Now, this was condoned by the system. He was in school suspension twice. Folks, if this had been Trayvon Martin or Carmelo Anthony, why, they would have put this information out from the beginning. Let's be clear about that. If this had been them, why, they would have released these records from the start. The prosecutor would have dropped these records. They would have leaked. By the way, I want y'all to understand something. There were no leaks. Whole state of Texas, and I need y'all to understand, they locked this down. Nobody even leaked the information. Why, they were telling us that you'd have to go through the Attorney General of Texas to get this. That's what they told us. What? So did y'all notice that they made sure this was locked down? Oh, so in other words, there are no leaks, quote, leaks, unless, of course, the bastards in charge want to leak it. No, there are no leaks. That's the folk in charge trying to rig the game. And when they realized, yeah, there's nothing, you can't rig this by doing that because it's very clear who the assailant and the aggressor is, all of a sudden, okay, just go ahead and bury that. Yeah, just bury that. Bury it. And then didn't release anything. Well, what do you know? As soon as the trial's over, you had some attorneys, and like I say, if we had any real attorneys, we probably would have had this before, but they had attorneys there, and this, what do you know? It's a damn fire hose. Austin Metcalf was everything that we said. Yes, he was this violent individual, men, women, beasts. I mean, he was on a rampage. And Jeff Metcalf, anybody who's talked to him more than once, he did one interview and he couldn't contain himself. It's very clear where your sons got this from. It's not any mystery. The whole world can see where Austin Metcalf got this from. And it didn't just start a year ago. His whole life. You want to talk about a poison culture? Megan Ku Klux Kelly. Can we discuss white supremacist culture, ma'am? I'd very much like to have a conversation about that. Because, yeah, we can see where he got it from. Y'all, this hurt CBS Texas's feelings. This busted their souls. That they had to sit here and say, by the way, just reading this on paper, impartially, objectively, what do you see? A young junior white supremacist who has been doing this his entire life, and it shouldn't surprise anyone that it ultimately culminated in him trying to attack somebody at a football game or at a track meet. And what do you know? He tried to attack somebody again. Not tried to. He attacked somebody at a track meet, and this time it wasn't a girl. It was somebody who was actually ready to defend themselves. Amazing. How in the world is it that was sitting there the whole damn time and all these folks didn't say anything about it? Because this is a system of white supremacy. And take a look at how they all got together in lockstep to close ranks and make sure that, this information can't get out. This cannot get out at all. No one, they locked down the school records. They locked down the juvenile records. I promise you that even the folks who worked in the system were not allowed to access his records at all. They knew what they did. They knew what they did. They knew full well if you open these damn records up here, it's going to substantiate the case. They knew it from the beginning, which is why they got together. I'm going to talk about that in a few moments. They wanted to make sure conceal all of this. Conceal all of this. Don't let any of that out at all. In the chat room, CJD's Cal needs to give us a call on Zoom. The link is pinned there in the chat room. CJD Cal, you got 2 minutes to give us a call up here on Zoom. So yeah, folks, all the stuff that they were claiming wasn't there the whole time. There was no proof of that. What's your proof? You all were hiding it. Now that you've had to reveal it, and let me tell you, they are mad as hell. These folks, understand, the New York Post and the rest of these outlets, they're not talking about this. Notice they're not saying anything about it. Yeah, that's not accidental. If you actually open the records, it's like they had no problem trying to play that game with Mike Brown, Tamir Rice, a little child, Trayvon Martin. All of that was fair game for them. Remember the Harambe incident? The child didn't have a criminal record. Yeah, but his dad. Okay, well, guess what? Jeff Metcalf, hello. We don't want to go into his now, do we? And for the white supremacist media, boy, it broke their damn souls to have to report this. That in this context, it's like, I'll be damned, Carmelo Anthony might not have been armed well enough to defend himself. Now, in retrospect, Carmelo Anthony was probably underarmed. When you find out what this 6'2" mammoth could do to you, and had no problem doing all the time, it's like, in retrospect, oh hell, dude, you might be underarmed.
Disciplinary records from April 2022 to May 2024 reveal that Austin reportedly called a teacher the B word and used profanity. He told a school official that he couldn't control it and wasn't aware that it was coming out of his mouth. In 2024, on at least 5 occasions, Austin saw a counselor regarding his anger and rage during a football game. In 2020,
wait a minute. Did y'all hear that? Yeah, that's right. I'm making you white supremacists squeal and squirm in your seats. Did y'all hear that?
Control it and wasn't aware that it was coming out of his mouth. In 2024, on at least 5 occasions, Austin saw a counselor regarding his anger and rage during a football game.
So, wait a minute. So the year before, he needed to go see a counselor not once, not twice, not thrice, not 4 times, 5 times? Specifically for his anger and rage issues. So he's obviously got a problem. His parents, particularly his father, only exacerbated and enabled it. He goes to a track meet to find what he thought was going to be an innocent victim that he could victimize with his anger and anger issues were on display again. He goes to a track meet and his anger issues are immediately on display. He assaults them and the media didn't say anything. That's the part I want you all to be aware of. The media came to defend it and cover it up and conceal it. They didn't investigate any of this. I'm saying this to you all because there's no way in the hell that you couldn't have found this out otherwise. It's like, damn me, the village of the damned. This is what we mean by it's a system of white supremacy. The entire society will come together and conspire against you. So all of a sudden, Carmelo Anthony with no criminal history, you're the violent person, and Austin Metcalf, who has been a problem since he was Dennis the Menace all the way to Chucky. Oh, he's a great guy. No issues here. How could you conceal all this? How could you hide all of this? There would be too many witnesses. And yet, nobody said anything. They upheld the code of omerta. This is what it means to be in a system of white supremacy. Everybody conspires together and colludes together to protect the white supremacist culture. This is what the hell we were talking about. He had to go see a counselor 5 times? That's a very clear, that should have been in court right there. That, hey, he specifically had, we can substantiate that he had violence issues because he specifically was in counseling. He specifically was in counseling for his previous incidents and previous behavior. He was specifically in counseling for that, right before he went and committed this assault. So I wanted that to stick to you all. By the way, did y'all catch that? Hey, he was the year before 5 times. What the hell happened the year of? He's 5 times for specifically the behavior, specifically to deal with the behavior that he went out there and committed assault with, specifically for that? Yeah, you damn right the prosecutor didn't want this in court. However, the problem isn't just that the prosecutor didn't want it.
In 2021, he got banned from attending basketball games for a season after yelling profanity at a player. Metcalf also got suspended after he and another student were talking about bringing a gun to school the following day.
I think we found your thug. Excuse me, folks, if this had been Carmelo Anthony, they would be having AI memes of him sitting up here with gang bandanas and with a car full of guns, even if he can't drive. Do y'all hear this? So now he was threatening to shoot up the damn school? No wonder. Folks, why didn't anybody mention any of this before? Because everybody, listen to me, everybody in Frisco, Texas got on code. I'm white and I say so. There was no incident. Hey, you walk up to somebody, hey, what about Austin that time he threatened to bring a gun to school? I don't know anything about that. Never heard anything about that. Sound familiar? Nolan Wells. What? Sound familiar? Nolan Wells. Yeah, same dynamic. You're the only person involved, and next thing you know, everybody's gotten on code. Ain't nobody seen nothing. Nobody knows what happened to you. Everybody got the same story. 3 blind mice, didn't see nothing, didn't hear nothing. Isn't that amazing? Whole damn town clammed up on you. Nobody saw anything. He's got a track record a mile long of infractions and assault and everything else, and 0 people went to the media with their specifics. Do y'all see how long he was doing this? What about the girl? She didn't say anything. What about the school? When he called the teacher the B word? What about his classmates? Nobody said anything. They all sat there and twiddled their thumbs. We ain't seen nothing, ain't heard nothing. So in other words, he got suspended from he got suspended for a whole season. Nobody even, anonymously. They didn't even anonymously, on the news when they black your face out and distort your voice. Nobody said, yeah, he was a real bad character there. I mean, he would fight people all the time. He got suspended for a whole season for basketball. He got suspended for a whole season. That's the thing right there. Yeah, how is it that they didn't know that? How is it that they didn't know that? How is it that you didn't hear anything? You've got a laundry list of problems and incidents. How is it you didn't hear that? How is that possible that you did not find any of this out? I keep drilling this because I want you to understand that this is what it means to live in a system of white supremacy. You ain't got nothing like that. You can't keep people quiet like this. You don't have the ability to keep people quiet like this. They're going to get out there and investigate. They're not going to bring the whole town together to clam up on you, to have a code of silence. They're not going to do that for you. They're going to leak, quote, leak all your information. You won't be able to file a motion to stop anything because they're going to leak it from day one. Y'all realize nothing got leaked from the very beginning. From the very beginning. They didn't leak anything. There was nothing for you to find out. There was nothing for you to gaze on. They made sure there wasn't anything for you to find out. Nobody's got access to the computer system. Nobody can give out anything. Y'all see how quickly they locked that whole damn thing down? Not that any of them were trying to do that. That's what it means to be in a system of white supremacy.
Now, prosecutors, meanwhile, have a 75-page document on Carmelo Anthony's background, which they plan to present to the court tomorrow. In that report, they mentioned that Carmelo Anthony, on the morning before the stabbing, sent out a text saying he's low-key on the verge, which was a sign they say that he was easily triggered. Also, that his girlfriend had gone to their school principal and said that he had been stalking her and was asking for help. Again, all of this information is coming from extractions from cell phones, school records, and police reports. We'll have much more on this coming up tonight at 10.
By the way, you haven't heard anything about that because they don't have anything. By the way, you don't have anything. They don't have anything. If they had any criminal activity from Carmelo Anthony, they would have been released that. They don't have anything there. However, what it does do for you is it does reinforce the peril for the folk in here, especially for your sons. You're going to have to watch out if your sons are out here with some young bedwenches. What? Damn! Or with young white supremacists. You're going to have to watch these gals. You got your sons around out here, folks. You're going to have to watch them, especially for the black women in here, for the black mothers in particular. You have failed and you are malfeasant in your responsibilities if you are not training and teaching your sons how to identify brainwashed, handkerchief-haired, bedwenching females. You have to be very, very critical about that because I want y'all to understand something here. Tell me about how many of Austin Metcalf's girlfriends were sitting, that they got any reports of his girlfriend saying anything. I'll wait. You all want to know the difference? Show me where any of them, you can't get them to talk to you. They're not talking to you. They're not talking to the school. They're not saying nothing to nobody. When I talk about the code of silence, when I talk about being on code, that's not, Brother Neely Fuller told y'all, it's not this, it can't be this uniform if you weren't taught this. You can't have this many people acting this uniform about one person if they weren't all taught the same thing in unison. That's what it means to be taught when you're on code. It's also what it means to be taught when you are off code. So just take a look at the difference there. I'm very glad they brought that up. Do you see the difference in how that was treated? Because you see, we got proof. These are the adults talking about what Austin Metcalf was doing. The adults are saying he called me this and he threatened that, and they were beating up the girls and beating up the boys and threatening to bring guns in. That was them saying that. You ain't got nothing here. There were no adults talking about Carmelo Anthony. They're not saying anything. So I want you to understand that this is another sign right here that we really need to be focused on having folk on code. This is another indicator about what it means to be on code, and that it's essential that we have folk around us who are. When you got folk around you who are not on code, you need to make sure that your sons and your daughters, that's important. You saw the same kind of thing happen with Trayvon Martin. I want y'all to understand that you got little goofy folk around you and whatnot. It's like, okay, you need to make sure that your kids don't have that, because as adults, you're supposed to be able to see when your kid's got a problem child. You need to know that. These are not minor things. These are not just annoying things. These are really serious, major problems. So when I talked about junior bed wenches in training, this is what the hell I'm talking about. Okay, if folk were worried, you claimed they were worried about Carmelo Anthony. Okay, what about this guy? I didn't hear anything about that. It's like, okay, recognize when you got kids out here who they're junior Candace Owenses, junior Sage Steeles, junior Stacey Dashes, junior Kim Klasiks. You need to be painfully, brutally aware when you got folk around you like that. That's a security threat. That's a security threat. So you all have had an opportunity to hear this and to see this, and it's like, what in the world? Now, I've got some commentary I want to give here beside that, because there are some things I had not had the opportunity to talk about here before. And before we go any further here today, let me go ahead and deal with this right quick. Just in case you thought that we were not on top of things. Yeah, a little over an hour ago and whatnot, the judge denied their request for a new trial. So you all just heard all that evidence about what the Metcalfs were doing. And of course, I mean, look, that's not to be surprised. We're not surprised about this. This is not to be unexpected. Of course, you're expecting that to happen. So, like I say, that wasn't the appeals judge or anything, but it just lets you know what's going on here. It lets you know they got avenues open to them, but they're getting the information out to people to let you all know what was really happening. So look, if you expected the system to just roll over like that's not what they were doing. That's not what they're going to do. I want to go ahead and show you one thing, though. This is the letter from the judge right here. This is the letter from the judge. And it says here that this day, August 21st, 2026, came on to be heard defendant's motion for new trial upon reviewing the evidence, the record, the evidence and arguments, the briefs, and the relevant case law. The court has determined that the motion should be denied. It is therefore considered ordered and adjudged by the court that the motion for a new trial is denied. And if you notice, he doesn't give any reason. So, by the way, he doesn't give any reason. He just says, well, we reviewed things and motion denied. He didn't give any justification, no reason. So, look, you're in Texas. I want you to be very well aware that, remember, 20 years ago, they were calling us the militants. Remember that? 20 years ago, they were saying that y'all militants and y'all pro-black, y'all militants. Okay, what about now? Do we look like a bunch of wackos now? Do we look like we're overreacting now? When we said that this is what was really going on, and you have not just sundown towns, but sundown states, yeah, do we sound like we are overreacting now? Or were the folks who are arguing with us, do they look like the idiots now? Tells you a hell of a whole lot right there when you think about that. Yeah, all of a sudden you don't find folks who are talking like that anymore. Not anymore, you don't. Now, I need you all to understand something here, just to show you the white supremacists that are out there. They are angry as hell. They are furious. They're steaming. They came onto this post, as you can see, 50,000 engagements and whatnot. They were upset. They're mad as hell because we are the black media. We are the black media. And you got to understand, the white supremacists are very worried. If they were not worried, they'd be sitting back and taking it easy. They can't take it easy because they understand that this is very damning. You see, remember when they thought they were going to rehabilitate Kyle Rittenhouse's, reputation? Lie. You all remember when they thought they were going to do that? Remember when they thought they were going to rehabilitate his image and rehabilitate his reputation and turn him into anything other than a stinking pariah? Remember when they thought they were going to do that? Yeah, how'd that work out? How'd that go, y'all? How'd that go? How'd that turn out? Trying to rehabilitate Kyle Rittenhouse and turn him into some kind of hero. How about Daniel Penny? How'd that work out for you? How about Shiloh Hendricks? How'd that go? Your efforts to rehabilitate her image, how did that go for you? From where I stand, it didn't turn out very well. So I want you to understand, they are very angry. They are very upset. They are furious. And it's always good to see them angry and enraged and furious because, you see, you don't get angry when you're winning. If you're winning, you're okay. It's like, okay, this really isn't anything to discuss because we've already won. Case in point, you don't see any of us jumping on any of these posts about Derek Chauvin. Y'all don't see us jumping on any of these posts about Derek Chauvin. It's like, man, look here. Why? You don't see us flooding on there and posting a bunch of bot posts and a bunch of rage posts. For what? He's behind bars. Case closed. Amber Geiger. Case closed. You don't see us flooding on any of their posts about that. Case closed. It's a done deal. We moved on to the next. They're over here because that's what you do when you know you haven't won. If you really thought you were winning, you wouldn't be here. You're here because you know you're losing. You know that you're losing, and when the media actually does something honest, even if it's by accident, when they put out a piece like this and they have to go down this outrageously long list of incidents and offenses committed by Austin Metcalf, this is not the kind of story that they need. They don't need this. They need a clean slate. You can't redeem this. You can't call him innocent. You can't say any of that. They did their best to bury this and hide this during the trial. But what do you know? What this tells you is sitting right there at hand the whole time. They can't redeem any of that. They can't redeem any of that. Now, the fact that this information did not come out at trial, what they tell you is that both the prosecutor and the defense agreed on this. They say both the prosecutor and the defense agreed on this. Now, I'm going to say this tonight, speaking solely and strictly for myself. I'm going to say this tonight, speaking solely and strictly for myself. I never did like that defense attorney. From the very first day, from the very beginning, I never did like him. I didn't like him. I didn't trust him. I found him to be deficient. There wasn't anything I liked about him. from the very first damn day. I was against that clown from the very first minute. From day one. Jason, why ain't you say nothing? Because I was talking to them. As you all know. I wasn't talking about the Anthonys. I'm talking to them. So I told y'all, while that case is going on, I'm not going to say anything because there's only so much I can say. Not just because of the gag order, but because I'm actually in contact with folk. But now that we got some new people on it involved, and now that the situation has shifted a little bit, I can say something I've been waiting months to say. I never did like his ass. Never liked him, never trusted him. As far as I was concerned, he was working with the prosecution, and now we're taking a look at it and seeing, well, I'll be damned. It sure does look like you were. Exactly what we would have expected. And this is why when these kind of things happen, we need some real invested legal minds to be on this stuff from the beginning, not trying to fish something out after the damn fact. Where the hell was this team when you needed them? Because you see, the George Zimmermans and the Kyle Rittenhouses and the Daniel Pennies, they don't have any problem with white supremacist legal beagles sitting up here jumping up to defend them for nothing. But when you're black, I'll be damned, you're kind of just twisting out here and whatnot and hoping for the best, and everybody wants to come swinging in after the damn fact, and it's like, okay, wait a minute. What about from the beginning? That's the kind of, I want y'all to understand, okay, we need y'all to be on deck from the beginning, man. Folk don't need to be hunting around for you and looking around for you. Take that case of what's that, Bricks and Mini Figs. And that YouTuber Reckless Ben. All kinds of white attorneys jumped up to say they wanted to defend Reckless Ben. All kinds of attorneys jumped up and said, we'll defend you. But meanwhile, over here, I'll be, you don't really get that till after the damn. Folk want to wait until you're in jail or the police done already killed you before they do anything. That's my issue. Everybody wants to wait until after you done been convicted. Okay, well, let's start the Innocence Project. After the police have gunned you down, if you're lucky, you get shot up and you live through it. If you're unlucky, you're dead. Okay, well, now here come the attorneys. That's the part right there that upsets me. These people would never try this garbage in the first damn place if they knew that there was going to be a quick, rapid, competent response. But everybody wants to wait until we get convicted or get killed, and then, okay, here comes the cavalry. Here comes reinforcements. Now that you've been convicted, now that you're dead. Oh, okay, we'll be there Monday. Okay, well, you'll be there Monday. We'll be there Wednesday. We're burying him Tuesday. We'll be there Friday. We're burying him. Okay, but we're burying him Wednesday. I just wanted to go ahead and let you all know that if you really want to know where I stand and where I've always stood, and it's like, Jason, I hope you all picked up that I was very conflicted because I really wanted to go off from the very beginning. I knew when the judge I knew from the beginning that the fix was in. And I'm like, I told y'all, as soon as the judge excluded the black jury members, the defense attorney is supposed to pull a Brian Steele. Remember Young Thug and Brian Steele? You're supposed to stop this whole damn trial right then, right there. We're not supposed to go another step. And when that lawyer sat up here and was like, oh, well, we kicked out the black folk. All right, let's just keep it going. Oh, hell no. You're supposed to stop right where you are That case isn't supposed to go another millimeter. And when I saw that right there happen, I said, okay, he's in on it with him. He's in on it with him. He's in on this with them. Soon as you saw that, I'm like, okay, that's a wrap. He's in on it with him. You did, first of all, agreeing to hide the records. There's no reason to hide no damn records. The case against Austin Metcalf makes itself when you have to read off all this stuff. The case makes itself. And yes, it's relevant because he had violent tendencies that he was literally, if you were a juvenile offender on trial, he was literally committing these things and doing this stuff the year before. There is proof that he was a violent individual. He was literally in counseling for it. He literally had been doing it at the school. He was literally doing it to adults. You got a long established track record that he was showing up that day to do what he had been doing at these games. He had been showing up at games, been showing up at meets, been doing this in these kinds of arenas. During these events, he has a long history of this behavior, particularly at these sporting events. And this was going to be the next stop. Now, once you include the gun, that's called escalation. Now that we know that he threatened to use a gun, okay, his behavior has officially escalated. That's not conjecture anymore. That's just facts now. So when your so-called defense attorney wants to bury that, there's nothing that they could show about Carmelo that's going to change what the hell he encountered there. And it's like we have substantiation that this is what it was. But y'all got to understand, when you got them attorneys there, he's like, okay, I got to live with these folks out here because these are his people. We got to be out here because these are his people. So he's worrying about what's going to happen with them. And of course, like I say, you're assuming they're not on the side. That's what I'm saying. These white supremacists have no problem getting the white supremacist attorney coming to defend them. They have no problem finding that very easily. Rick Chow, he has no problem finding the neighborhood coon to go ahead and do that. Y'all got to understand that. These are conversations that we have not had, and then we wait until something really tragic occurs, and we're like, we need to be building a bulwark before then. And so that's why I have absolutely no respect for this stuff, because that's supposed to be already on dammy deck. That's supposed to be already on deck, man. Johnny Cochran was defending who? Geronimo Pratt? I mean, man, this supposed to already be on deck. We can't depend on Shreveport to bail everything out. That's supposed to already be on deck. So this is the issue that I'm upset about right there. But if you want to know where the hell I come from with it, I was not cool on the attorney from day one. Didn't like him, didn't trust him. He was suspect from the very beginning. I'm just going to stop right there and just say he was suspect from the very beginning. I didn't want to say anything publicly. Because the trial was underway. Things were already going. I hope that if y'all go back and listen to those programs, I think you'll see where I started alluding to saying, yeah, I got some thoughts and some feelings, especially about the family, about the attorney. I got some thoughts and feelings about him. And I said that during the program. I said, I'm just going to be quiet for right now. But for those of you who may be feeling some kind of way about the attorney, I'm like, yeah, I understand how you all feel. I think you all go back and you'll remember I said something like that. I understand how you all feel. But yeah. No, I was never good on him. I was never cool on him. I didn't like him from the very beginning, and he confirmed everything I thought. No, I was never okay about that guy. Never. Not today. I sniffed it from the very beginning. I'm like, yeah, this guy's dirty. This guy's dirty. From the very beginning, no good. No good. None. Not at all. So now I can say it. I can just come out and say that. Because I don't think that's going to harm the family. I don't think that's going to harm the case at this point. But yeah, now that that's over, yeah, I would have gotten his ass up out of there from the very beginning. I would have gotten him out of there from the very beginning. Here's the problem. Get him out of there and replace him with whom exactly? See, this is the issue that we run into. Okay, you can get him out of there, but we're going to kick him out of here and replace him with whom exactly? If your best and brightest are out there defending the white supremacists or the Asians behaving as white supremacists, you know, kick him out of here and replace him with who? Where are they? They're not. If they're not answering the phone, what do you do? Yes, our legal class is straight up garbage. We got a real super big problem with that. We got a super big problem with that, and cases like this really emphasize that. We don't need any more damn me elevated ambulance chasers. Well, we need a folk who can shut down this criminal system when they try to sit up here and rig the game like this. That's what the hell we need. And that's been a major thing that's been missing. And no, I've never been okay with it. No, I'm not okay with it right now. And no, I've seen it from the very beginning and I didn't like it. And I'm not okay with it. And I'm not cool. Never liked him. Was never all right with him. I guess I'm glad that his ass is out the way, because as soon as he's gone, what do you know? If he was doing such a great job, you would not see things like this. You wouldn't have the laundry list of offenses that we just had read off about Austin Metcalf if you actually had a competent defense attorney that was doing what the hell he was supposed to do. There was no information that the prosecution could release about Carmelo Anthony that was going to be more damaging than exposing the truth about Austin Metcalf's criminal history. Nothing. And in retrospect, you haven't heard or seen anything that justified it or outweighed it. There was nothing. Now, if this is what we know today, how is it that his attorney didn't know it then? How the hell is it they didn't know it then? Of course they did. So that's what I'm saying. Across the board here, we got too much waiting around and we're sitting damn me ducks, and the media is against you because everybody got on code. The media got on code, the newspapers, television stations, white supremacist bloggers, Elon Musk and the algorithm. Everybody gets on damn me code. That's why it's more important than ever that we have that together, man. We can't have it. We can't sit up here and be waiting until after things have gone bad. And okay, well, can we stick it together then? All this trying to bless folk at the funeral. But they were doing their best to convince you that this wasn't what Austin Metcalf was really doing. And now you find out, yeah, it was exactly what everybody said. It sure was. However, you might disagree. Therefore, I've gone ahead and pinned the link to the Zoom there down at the bottom of the chat room, or at the top of the chat room for you all. You can go ahead and click on that and give us a call here. In the meantime, I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Shout out here to Nancy King. She says, salute to the anchorman of New Black Media. It's your God-given right to protect yourself. Absolutely. God-given, not man-given. Shout out to my man, Mr. Richburg. We appreciate seeing you in the place tonight, brother. To Cyberdine100. My man, Mark B. Glennis. IV Holistic, Tom Slick, Jay Grizzly, everybody there. Ianto, now y'all been giving out some memberships tonight. So thank you to the folks who are giving out memberships here. We appreciate that as well. RW9344. Everybody else here, thank you very much for your support tonight. We're going to take a very brief non-commercial break. When we come back here, I can probably see about taking some of y'all's calls here, and there's a few other things I want to cover here while I'm at it. So I got a number of things I want to touch on here, but you all will have an opportunity to weigh in on that here and more. This is the Black Channel.
Be the teacher, knowledge on the block. Got the kids learning, minds open like a lock. Books and skills from the east to the west. Bringing education, yeah, we're simply the best. Classes on fire, brains burning with desire. Innovation driving like a tire through the mire. Math, science, history, we got the whole range. Kids hitting new heights, teachers making a change. Used to be the teacher, stacking up the grades. Future bright shining, no need for no shades. Got the youth thriving, moving up the ladder. Smart and sharp, brains growing fatter. Lessons so lit, yeah, they stay in a blaze. Every mind sharp like a sword in the haze. Mr. B in the house breaking knowledge chains. Education kingpin, we ripping the games. Listen, be the teacher.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' Body Butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening as we are discussing about the criminal history of Austin Metcalf finally coming to life here. And it's worse than folk thought it was. It's way more extensive and worse, which really means it was everything that we said it was from the very beginning there. And as usual, the white supremacist media made sure that they came together lockstep to deny those things, because y'all got to understand, these folks don't do this stuff by accident. That's not what happens. They don't do this stuff by accident. With Trayvon Martin, remember, I think it was the Miami Herald, they wanted to get his juvenile records. These folks, they don't do this stuff by accident. They deliberately do these things. They get their attorneys there. They want to go investigate your records, investigate your juvenile records. Why these newspapers and whatnot, the New York Times and Miami Herald, well, they're gonna be real quick to go ahead and get some lawyers in there talking about, oh, the public has a right to know and this, that, and the other. I mean, they're real quick to do that. However, in this case, none of those people showed up. Explain to me how it is that none of them showed up this time. Let's go ahead and jump over here on Zoom right quick. Let me see if we can get Superpower Media. All right, let's get Superpower Media up here on Zoom. What's on your mind, brother?
Jason, you was absolutely right. I mean, I didn't trust the lawyer from the beginning also. I mean, I seen the writing on the wall early. I think pretty much everybody did. And I live here in McKinney, and I get called least twice a year to jury duty at that same courthouse. And it's almost impossible to have an all-white jury. There's so many black people in this area, black people, Mexicans, and you name it. So it's almost impossible to have an all-white jury unless you fix it. You know what I mean? So when I seen them do that, I said, the writing is on the wall. I said, these people are trying to railroad this kid. And I've seen it earlier. I mean, even out here at the school district, all three of my sons went to McKinney School District. And if it's so strict, man, if you get caught fighting at these schools, they'll give you like they'll bring the police up there to arrest you if you get to them fights at these schools. So for this kid to have this long of a criminal record, this kid died without a felony. You see what I'm saying? They gave this kid he went to the grave without a felony, man. Think about that. He done punched the girl. You done pushed the girl down, punched the girl. 2 girls you done beat up, bullied a black kid at school, making threats, gun threats, you name it. Spray painting, graffiti, KKK, and a swastika on the, and you still don't have a felony?
What do you have to do to be a white thug in this nation? I mean, what do you got to do, brother? How big does the rampage got to be?
So they've been protecting this kid since knee high. A black kid can get away. First of all, you would get a spell from school from punching a girl in the stomach. They don't let the black kids get away with this out here in McKinney, in Collin County, Jason. They don't let the black kids get away with that type of crap. First offense, you out of there. You going to some type of what they call them schools for the bad kids. You're not finna go to a regular school with that type of record. Yes. I live in McKinney. I live in Collin County area, and I know these. Man, it doesn't happen with black kids. One offense, you out of there as a black student, and you definitely won't be on the football team. Come on, man. It's crazy out here. That's crazy work, man. That's crazy work to have that long of a record, and you still in school, you still on the football team, how many chances they gonna give you to kill somebody? It's crazy.
But that's the whole point of it. In the system of white supremacy, you are protected. In the system of white supremacy, you are protected. That's the whole point that they're making. You are protected for doing that. They take this thing very seriously. That's the thing I want y'all to remember. Thank you very much for giving us a call now. We appreciate that. Let me see if I can get James up here on Zoom for me here right quick. Let me see if I can get James up here on Zoom for me here, and then Charles D, Mr. X, everybody else here. Just y'all hang tight. I'll make sure y'all get here. Now, make sure if you call up on Zoom, everybody, make sure you're actually sitting by your phone. If you get up on Zoom and then go tiptoeing around the house, I'm going to skip by you here. You can't hold up the program all night. Okay, James, thank you for waking up, brother. What's on your mind? Okay, James is having an old nigga moment. James, what are we doing?
No. I'm here, brother. Hey, thank you very much, not only for this broadcast, but for your involvement in doing your best you can to express the importance of this case in particular, because it is important to me. You use a term to describe this channel. In particular, I'm talking about the term uncompromising. And I point that out to emphasize the fact that when you were speaking about where are our black lawyers, why didn't they just jump on this off the gate? And it's because they're somewhat compromised. Why? I mean, how you going to wait till all the action is over to come in? It's sad and it's hurtful because me, when I was young, I got to be a lawyer. I just felt that way. The circumstances didn't allow that in my life. And early on, I seen the cover up from the beginning, because if you look at the footage of the stabbing and at the stadium, the camera person was in on it. He already knew that they was coming because he focused on their group. And the Metcalfs and their thugs, as they were entering in the stadium, followed them in particular with all the events and all the motions and everything that was going on. That camera work was focused on them and where they were going. And when they got to the tent where they were, it froze in place to watch exactly what was going to happen. So to me, it was obvious that the camera person knew something was going to happen. And how else can I substantiate that? I can substantiate it by the fact.
Okay, thank you very much for giving us a call tonight, brother. We appreciate that. Let me see if I can get Charles up here on Zoom for me here right quick. Charles, let me go ahead and get you here on Zoom. What's on your mind, brother?
Hello, Jason. Hope everyone's having a good evening. And this is not really surprising because you look at the history of this nation. You look at the history that, when black people wanted to say, "Hell, we'll give you this free stuff, this free shot," and the whole Tuskegee experiments that lasted for 20, 30, 40 years and such. They experiment, and talk to most black women who try to get help or they are pregnant and such. And more often than not, they die. They die because of the lack of healthcare and the lack of care by these sick white supremacist doctors that no one seems to care about. And now the person who who'd been Officer Metcalf, who has a display of being a sociopathic killer. I mean, if we came out, if Carmelo Anthony didn't defend himself, we would have heard a couple weeks later, another school shooter, and it would be Austin Metcalf, and people would wonder what happened. And they don't wonder; they know. They know what's going on, and that's why these devils, these demons, that's what they are, man. They lie right in front of your face. They'll lie. They will look at you and tell these sweet little, they'll tell these sweet little things to you. But yet, at the end of the day, they will stab you in the back. And not only that, they will gaslight you and blame the people who see it. And it works. That's what we are right now.
You listen to them and they'll turn you into the assailant and the assailant into the victim. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Now, as a matter of fact, turning the assailant into the victim. Yeah, let me go ahead and check on that because I need to give you all a historical perspective here. Let me go ahead and make sure y'all understand something here. Now, this is from the New York Times. This is from the New York Times today. Did you all see this here? Maybe you didn't. I want to give you a bit of a historical perspective for those of you who are new here to the New Black Media. For those of you who are not here, 13 years ago when I was covering the murder of Trayvon Martin. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the New York Times. The New York Times is referring to Carmelo Anthony as Mr. Anthony in their subheadline. Did y'all see that? In the subheadline, they refer to Carmelo Anthony as Mr. Anthony. You know, the little guy? He's Mr. Anthony. However, the 6'2", 220-pound linebacker is just Austin Metcalf. Now, some of you may be saying, well, Jason, he is over 18 years old, although I would challenge you to find how often the New York Times does this kind of thing, because I remember them doing this before. So what are you going to say to me? Well, Austin didn't live to be 19 years old. And okay. See? We got you, Jason. We got you. Hold up, white supremacists and coons. Because before you can explain that, please remember that we don't fake about this and our memories are long. This is the New York Times from October of 2012. Well, Trayvon Martin was 17 years old. 17. And what do you know? Oh, I know this is going to be very inconvenient for the New York Times. Folks, do y'all see what I see? The New York Times referred to Trayvon Martin, the 17-year-old child, as Mr. Martin, but referred to the 40-something-year-old man as George Zimmerman. I want to shrink this a little bit to make sure y'all see. This is the New York Times. This is the New York Times. This is not some other, bogus knockoff news. This is the New York Times. You want to know how far the system of white supremacy goes in pushing propaganda? You want to know how far they go in pushing their newspaper literary race war? You want to know how far they go? For those of you who are here, y'all remember I covered this 13 years ago. I covered this exact incident 13 years ago. That's why I remember. I remember it because I covered it. And here I am. Not all of us got here to this point to be able to talk today. Rest in power, Black Voltron. But I'm here today to remind y'all I was there, which is why I remember that this is how the New York Times talked about the Trayvon Martin murder. George Zimmerman was George Zimmerman, but the child was aged up. And by Miss Lizette Alvarez. What?
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man.
So there's that black and brown coalition. I don't know if she's Afro-Latina or not. If she were, I'm sure she's coming through and fulfilling that black and brown coalition there. So yeah, more of that black and brown coalition, y'all. Boy, if we get any more of this coalition with coalition members like this, who the hell needs enemies? But oh yeah, by the way, 17-year-old Trayvon Martin, according to the New York Times, was Mr. Who the hell refers to a minor as Mr.? Folks, explain this to me. Who? And you can see she did this more than once. You can see where she did it again, so that's not an accident. Who the hell refers to minor? What in the world? What is this? The Jeffrey Epstein corner of the New York Times? You're referring to a minor as Mr.? Who the hell's the editor? Who in the hell is Lizette Alvarez's editor? Ghislaine Maxwell? What? Who in the deep fat fried hell refers to a minor as Mr.? Well, at the New York Times, from the Jeffrey Epstein desk, apparently they do, and they've been doing this, well, way back when Jeffrey was still alive and kicking. So I just wanted you all to know, just in case you thought this was a fluke by the New York Times, and Jason, that was back then. They've learned their lesson. I submit to you, oh, hell no. The New York Times is still the New York Times, not Fox News, not the New York Post. This is the New York Times, showing you that they are no better and no different. And you haven't heard anybody else go back through the crates and show you that this is how they're characterizing these things. So you see, if you just started paying attention to all this since George Floyd, don't expect Candace the Coon Owens, damn right I'm still in the back, don't expect Candace the Coon Owens or Officer Brandon Buck Danson Tatum, don't expect any of them to come back and remind you about the so-called liberal media and how they sit up here and age up black children. These folk who claim to be so concerned about sex offenders and sexual predators and Jeffrey Epstein, and yet they won't remind you about this because they'll be sitting there joining in with it. So I'm just doing my part to remind you all that I've been documenting these things. Our memories are long. And just to remind you that, by the way, the New York Times refers to minors as misters. Well, if you're black. They refer to minors as misters. Misters. Case in point, if you were a 40-year-old man dating a 19-year-old girl, would the New York Times refer to her as Mrs.? If you were a 40-year-old black man dating a 19-year-old white girl, would the New York Times refer to her as Mrs.? Would they do that? Do you all think the New York Times, if you were a 40-year-old black man with a 19-year-old black girl, that they would refer to her as Mrs.? Asking for a friend. Asking for a friend. Let's go ahead and jump over here on Zoom again right quick. I know we're chock full with the data and information that you will receive absolutely nowhere else. 720 degrees of analysis. Let's go ahead and jump over here on Zoom. I got Blanco here on Zoom. What's on your mind, Blanco?
Jason, what a great broadcast. The only thing that I can think of, when we're hearing all this other stuff, coming out today about Austin and his brother, is double jeopardy. Now that the case is done, all the settlements have been done, all the preliminary hearings, all the sentencing, now they can let you know that technically Austin was kind of a bully, kind of a shithead, whatever, because not only because he's dead and whatnot, but the case is over. And they purposely left that out and made sure that nobody could have access to any of the, it's like you said, but that's the whole point of it. They're almost laughing, not even almost, like they are laughing in your face when they release all that other stuff way after the fact. Like the names of, those two guys after they killed Emmett Till. They don't tell you anything about the case during, but it's only after everything has been done and they're left free that they let you know about all their other evidence and all their other, activities, but there's nothing you can do legally. It's double jeopardy.
I mean, that's the whole point about it right there, is that to hide this information from the very beginning. And they've done that before. This is a long track record of behavior. Now, if you're black now, you don't get that. The New York Times and the Miami Herald and whatnot, they're going to file lawsuits to go unseal your documents and unseal your records. So the Jeffrey Epstein class in the media has been there for a long time, although white society defended that because they were targeting us. Once they started stacking up their daughters, all of a sudden it's a bad thing. So I just wanted you all to see that even the New York Times, if you thought for a second that anything has changed, if you think they're one bit different from the others, I'm showing you all right up until tonight. Oh, they are no different. None. They could have investigated Austin Metcalf. Hell, they damn sure should have been investigating Jeff Metcalf. Now, you damn sure should have been investigating him, because if Carmelo Anthony's father had a sex offender registry listing, what? Well, if he was suspected or accused of some type of sexual offense, why, that would be the only thing that Matt the Weenie Walsh and Megan Ku Klux Kelly and Tucker the Sucker Carlson, that would be the only thing they'd be talking about. They'd be saying, why? Well, of course Carmelo is going to take a look at his dad. Well, okay, well, you know what? Y'all keep that energy. Not only does Austin Metcalf have a criminal record that matches, wasn't it Machine Gun Kelly? What about his dad? All of a sudden, everybody's quiet. Nobody's saying anything. All the stuff they were saying before, all of a sudden, that just gets memory hold. Oh, well, that don't count no more. This is what you're up against, man. This is being on code. This is their idea of being in a race war. Math is the enemy. Math just that quickly became the adversary. I'll let you have the last word.
And it's almost like when they're on code, however that they're engaging with, the system that they're creating and keeping. It's almost like it's instinct. Everyone pretends like they have no idea what's going on until everyone knows at a certain point that they know exactly what's going on, but there's nothing you can do. So it's just, if it's not one thing, it's another. Because now I'm really starting to think that the incidents that are going on in Gary, Indiana, that's an entire psyop. Knowing that the government isn't going to come through and help out your state, your city in particular, they're just going back to their old ways. One person hanging, I'll say this to land the plane, that one person hanging is maybe something, but two or more, and you already have a system where the system's not helping out Gary, Indiana, and the white people living in there don't give a fuck because now they're using it as, guerrilla warfare to do whatever that they always wanted to do.
No, man, folks are getting hung. Folks are getting drowned. You got all kinds of stuff happening all over. The judges being found dead in New York with their heads underwater. No crime here. Nothing strange here. So, no, obviously they're already on the march. Chud the Builder was just the fool who was out there recording himself. There's a whole bunch. Man, you don't really want to go down this road, y'all. You don't want to go down this road. I need to remind you all of some stats right quick. Do you know how many serial killers you have in America?
At any given time?
I mean, think about that for a few moments. Do you know how many serial killers we got out here in America walking the streets right this moment? This is what they do. This is what they do. Okay. Now, how many white supremacist killers you got out there now? With the help of the local law enforcement apparatus, of course. With the help of them. Do y'all realize how many of them you have out? Think about, we covered this a couple weeks ago. Think about how many black folk are missing right now. Though the folk who got hung, the folk who got drowned, those are the bodies that you found. Do you realize how many black people come up missing every year and are never seen or heard from again? Particularly minors. Do you realize how many of them just disappear every year and never heard, hide, nor hear from again? At what point is that no longer an accident? At what point is, are y'all sure there ain't something to this? Now folks are getting hung. And remember, serial killers, I'm going to use that phrase, but serial killers do that to mark territory. They also do that to send a signal. They do that to send a signal that there's a reason why they're doing what they're doing. Ed Bundy and them, why are you doing this? Issues with his mother. So all you women being killed, this is him sending a signal about his mom. Oh, all you black folk getting killed is somebody trying to send a signal. And once they learn how to do it, and they learn how to do it under what circumstances, then from there, it's just like, okay, clip this one, clip that one. You see, if you sit up here and tell your daughters to bedwench and whatnot, dude, how many females are getting flued out and never heard from again? How many females are walking off the job? How many females are driving off to some unknown city? We're going to go hook up with Zaddy and your ass ends up in a garbage bag. Your daughter ends up in a garbage bag somewhere because she doesn't understand how real it really is.
And they say that with all the flock cameras that are around, that you would think that all these kids that go missing, remember, Flint, Michigan not having clean water is now an 18-year-old joke. It's a 20-year-old joke. That joke can damn near buy a beer. These shouldn't be like normal sayings that we have. The missing girls that happen in Chicago and DC. That shouldn't be like a stat that we remember every year. but unfortunately, it keeps on happening. So with all these flock cameras, you would think, oh, yeah, okay, for sure, you know exactly where they're going. Or they're always be using the surveillance state against the poor, particularly black. You already know this, right? So this is just yet another example of, I'm white and I say so. But great broadcast, Jason.
Thank you for giving us a call tonight. Yeah, them flock cameras are watching you. You let Jeffrey Epstein commit a crime against you, and then all of a sudden the flock cameras are blind. All of a sudden the flock cameras don't see nothing. Shout out to my man Grind Time 3110. He says in the super chat, thank you very much, brother. He says, why known bully crickets? Black kids fighting back headlines. Of course, you are in the system of white supremacy. Cornell Sly says, thank you, TBA, true American journalists support black empowerment. Thank you very much for your support, brother. We appreciate that. Let me go ahead and jump back over here on Zoom again, see if we can get Luther up here on Zoom for me right quick. Let me see if we can get Luther up here on Zoom for me right quick. Yeah, y'all, folk come up missing and disappearing. Are you sure they just disappeared? All right, Luther, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on, Brother Black? Long-time listener. My question is, I mean, I don't want to be hard on them or anything, but what's up with these parents, man? I mean, we all saw the fix from the start. You just gonna sit here and let this attorney help them rig the trial? I mean, no black jurors, you're fired. We not talking about records, you're fired. I don't understand. I mean, if it's a money thing, I mean, we'll sell this house, we'll sell these cars. I don't understand what's going on here.
Well, in the case of the family, like I say, there was an extraordinary amount of issue with them. They were being stalked all over the place, y'all. There was a bunch of foul stuff going on. In Carmelo Anthony's father's case, folk kept calling his job, harassing his job, threatening them. I mean, that was a nonstop thing that was happening with him. They had to move like 3 times. They didn't have to move just once. They had to move. Yeah, the news media only talks about one, but them folk had to keep doing that. Even some of the supporters they had, I was in touch with some of them, and they started getting stalked and harassed about that. So it wasn't just one thing or one person or whatever. The whole town, I shouldn't say the whole town, the whole nation basically got on code and was targeting them. Their house got swatted whole 9 yards. Although it's kind of hard for them in that case, but no, brother, there was a whole bunch of stuff going on like that. So. That was not a minor little thing. So we talking about a situation where, they're just trying to figure out how to keep the bills paid. They're trying to figure out how to do, because they were, you know what the society does. They were targeting the parents. They were targeting them. So please don't misunderstand that. Now, once again, about the attorney situation, like I say, there's only so much I know about that, which is not a whole lot. However, what I will tell you is that, once again, okay, we can kick him out of here, but kick him out of here and replace him with whom? Because you have to have somebody who's going to take the case, period. So there's the real issue. And this is what I'm talking about. Our black Roland Martin can sit on his big round bowling ball ass and sit the hell down, because your so-called HBCUs and whatnot, where the hell were they? Where the hell? More black lawyers go to HBCUs. Okay, well, clearly you're all useless, because where the hell were they? Where the hell were they? George Zimmerman didn't have to go stumbling around for an attorney. Daniel Penny, you still don't know who his attorney is to this day. Do you realize that? Beat the city of New York, and you couldn't name a Daniel Penny's attorney today if your life was on the line. You couldn't tell me his name today. You couldn't tell me what he looked like. Forget about his name. You couldn't tell me what he looked like. You couldn't tell me if it was male or female. You couldn't tell me if he was blonde, brunette, wore glasses, had a beard, mustache, goatee, bald-headed. You couldn't tell me a single thing about him. Do you realize that? What I'm telling you is that they didn't have to hire Dammy Tom Mazzaro and Johnny Cochran. They didn't have to hire no celebrity attorneys. Do you get that? They didn't have to hire the best defense attorney in the nation to go and defend Daniel Penny. They got an attorney you couldn't spot in the lineup if your life was on the line. That's what I'm trying to get across to you. Now, when it shows up for us, you got to have the best damn attorney on Mars to show up. But for these other folk here, they can get any anonymous person, and here you go. But then again, once again, in the case of New York, Alvin Bragg and them were actually helping Daniel Penny. But this is what happens. You already got the judge on their side. Whoever the white person is, the judge is going to be on their side to begin with. So that makes life a whole lot easier. Makes life infinitely easier. Never forget that Amber Geiger did have a black judge The judge did what she was supposed to do. The judge was not an activist working for the defense or the prosecution. The judge was actually neutral. In the case of O.J. Simpson, there was so much focus on Lance Ito, he had to be neutral. No fingers on the scale, no nothing. Well, when that doesn't happen, take a look at the outcome. Take a look at Young Thug. We can go down the list. When the judge doesn't try to get involved and pick a side, things go differently. Kyle Rittenhouse and Judge Schrader, take a look at what happened when the judges get involved. You don't have to have a great defense attorney, but I will say, even in that case, you couldn't name those people to pick them out of a lineup. So we have a real bad issue. And as black folk in particular, it's a really bad issue, and I'm going to say this, you don't see Jewish people getting hemmed up like that. You don't see Jewish people getting clutched up like that. If somebody come and make an accusation against them, a competent Jewish lawyer is going to show up from somewhere. He won't even look Jewish. He's going to show up from somewhere. You're not going to have to sit up here and go beg around. What's his name? Mangione, Luigi Mangione. Brother, you saw that? Them attorneys came and said, we'll take the case. Don't say nothing to nobody. We got you.
Yeah.
Brother, Luigi looking at them like, who is you? Where are your attorneys? Okay. Don't say anything. We're filing motions right now. All righty. And before you knew it, they were getting evidence thrown out. Remember? It was only by a stroke of luck that the police officers didn't open his backpack. Because if they had opened his backpack, they could have gotten the backpack thrown out too. So remember, they had already started getting evidence thrown out. They wanted to get the backpack thrown out. Like, damn, the officer called at the last moment. He said, don't open in passing, the officer was like, I don't think we should open the backpack, dude. It was one of those situations. I don't think we should open the backpack, dude. That might be tampering with evidence. We might not want to open that. It's like, damn, almost got him too. So I'm just saying, think about that for a few moments. He didn't even make it to trial before they started throwing stuff out. For lawyers it wasn't like he called them and said, I shot this dude over here. These were folks who said, we're volunteering. He killed an executive for an insurance company. Here we come. Tyler Robinson. Okay, let me go clip Charlie Kirk right quick. And have you seen, brother, the dream team for a black person is once in a lifetime. Johnny Cochran had to go defend every nigga in America. Diddy, Michael Jackson, O.J. Simpson. With these white folks, they committing crimes on video, and it's a different dream team in every state. Do you realize that? It ain't just one. It's a different one in every damn state. That's the difference right there. And he didn't have to make a phone call. They're like, okay, you killed Charlie Kirk, we'll be there tomorrow. Just sit tight, don't say nothing. And they've been going to work every damn since. Ever since. Do you think Tyler Robinson has the money to pay these people? Do you think Luigi Mangione had the money to pay them folk? This is what we get caught up in. So I'm not going to say everything I know, but I'm just going to say I need y'all to understand. It's like, okay, they're in Frisco, Texas. These are the attorneys you have available. Like when you have your rappers and stuff, think about that for a moment. So Brian Steele is sitting there in Atlanta, and now he's working, I think, on the Dirk case, Lil Durk case also. So think about it for a moment. You can have the best attorney in New York coming down to Atlanta, or the best attorney in Georgia coming out to Los Angeles or whatever. Think about that for a few moments. Okay, you in Texas, ain't nobody calling you for nothing. You're kind of just on your own. You mean with the attorneys who live here in Frisco? You mean I'm on my own with them? Well, this is the one who would take the case. Oh boy. We don't get the best. We get who'll take the case. That's who we get. So the issue is not, can you hire an attorney? The issue is, can you hire a competent attorney who's actually going to be able to do some work and get this taken care of? And for us, it becomes a damn crapshoot, brother. It becomes a crapshoot, man. And it shouldn't be that. I have spent the last decade with people emailing me and everything else until I just finally had to tell y'all, I cannot recommend any attorneys. I can't. I can't name a single attorney that I can recommend to another person. Not even one. Now, George Zimmerman can. Luigi Mangione can. Tyler Robinson can. Rick Chow can. I can't. I can't. And even if I could, can I get them to take your case? Think about that for a few moments. Well, ASAP Rocky, his attorney got him off. That's great. Can you get, what's his name, to even take your case? If you're not Rihanna's boyfriend, I guess you can't get represented. If you're not a rapper with 8 figures, I guess Brian Steele's not answering the phone. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not about are you most in need. It's about, okay, are they even going to, is Brian Steele even going to answer the phone for you? I mean, if you ain't got 8 figures, is he even going to answer the phone? I mean, yeah, he did work on the Diddy case, didn't he? Yeah, from Johnny Cochran to Brian Steele. By the way, yeah. So, brother, this is where we at. I mean, I don't want us to be coy or make-believe about this. This is where we're at. The best attorneys should be contacting us. We shouldn't be fishing for them. They should be coming and looking for us. And that's not what we have. We don't have that.
Yeah, I figured it was more to it than I didn't understand. But yeah, I appreciate you shedding light on that. Great broadcast as always, and I'll let you do your thing.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Yeah, y'all, I mean, we hear about this kind of thing all the time. It's a whole bunch of black folk who are sitting in jail, not because they're guilty, but because this is the best they could do for an attorney. And I'm not talking about just a public defender either, man. It's not about do you got a public defender. It's about whether or not you have a competent attorney. And if you're living in the wrong place, and how many places in America are the right place, I mean, y'all tell me, how many really competent attorneys do you have in Atlanta, Georgia? Did you see the Young Thug trial? Did you see that damn Animal House circus? How many competent lawyers do you have in Atlanta? How many truly competent attorneys do you have in New Orleans, Louisiana? How many do you actually have there, man? How many competent attorneys do you even have in Chicago?
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man.
You live in Houston, Texas. Okay, I'm not talking about did you have an auto accident. I'm talking about you have a criminal case. You need to have a real attorney who really knows what they're doing and is really competent and shuts down corrupt judges and shuts down that old drunk prosecutor over there. Come on, man. You take a look at Atlanta. Take a look at Memphis, Tennessee. How many competent attorneys do you have in Memphis? Have you seen what the hell come walking out of the courthouse in Memphis? Have any of you actually stood at a courthouse in Memphis and seen what the hell comes stumbling down them steps? Memphis, stand up. Anybody who's been to court in Memphis, have you seen what the hell comes stumbling down those steps of the Memphis courthouse? You're supposed to pick a great lawyer out of this bunch? We're going to pick the best lawyer out of this rabble? I mean, it's not like we're sitting here flooded and drowning in talent, man. Even if you can afford them, it's not like we're drowning in talent, dude. It's not like that. It's not like that at all. So let's just keep it real. Most black folk end up getting hemmed up because they do not have an attorney, either because they can't afford one or this nigga over here ain't about nothing. You just end up with representation. You just end up with that. You got a whole phone book full of folk there. Okay, but it's not like you get the damn best and brightest. That ain't what's happening. You don't get the legal beagle eagles. You don't get any of that, man. You calling them and whatnot, and either not answering the phone or whatever. So it's not about can you get an attorney. You can get, you'll be able to get an attorney. Can you get an attorney who's worth a damn is the question. I don't care how great your case is, how rock solid the information is. So no, I stopped giving folk false hope a long damn time ago. I am not going to sit here and lie to you all and tell you how easy it is or simple it is. Even if you got the damn money, it ain't like that. It's not like that. And it's a damn shame because it shouldn't be, but the black legal class is trash. They're just straight up trash. They really are. They are worthless. They are useless. They are feckless. They're trash. They're not about a damn thing. And the system knows it. They work, any lawyer you can hire, they work with this jackass nigga all the damn time. They know ain't nothing going on over here. Except the ones who go around chasing insurance. Well, those guys have become expert insurance chasers. But as far as like stopping the state and debunking them, they don't even know where the hell to start. They don't even know where the hell to start. Let me go ahead and jump back over here on Zoom again. Let's see if we can get Antoine up here on Zoom. Antoine, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on, brother Jason? I did have like a question. Like, I get what you're saying, but it's like me being from, places like Chicago, which is kind of a microcosm of what the nation actually is. It's just like it's becoming so brazen to the point where it's like with some of the stuff that with attorneys, for example, you take when the Black Panther got killed over in Chicago, even going further, Director Burgess, and even further with some of the stuff that was happening with the Laquan McDonald case. I mean, they're doing it in front of your face to a point, whereas there's no need for legal representation. It's just the law is just outright being broken, in contrast to maybe Kim Fox going after Jesse Smollett over that, over the fake thing that he was getting beat up by MAGA. But people pick and choose. Is that also due to our failure as far as, having the right kind of attorney representation?
I think that most black people are operating under a fallacious set of assumptions. They are assuming that the issue is they don't have enough money. So I get stuck. If I get accused of a crime, I'm going to be stuck with a public defender. The problem is I don't have enough money. And they don't understand. I wish it was that simple. I wish it were that simple, but it's not. Let me give you, and furthermore, the black so-called legal class is a bunch of ass-kissing coons to begin with. I said it!
And deal with it, nigga!
Let me go ahead and remind you all of something right now, y'all. Let me go ahead and remind you of the dirty little details of it. All right, the Young Thug trial down there in Atlanta. He's at the courthouse. The black judge is messing up. The white attorney calls him out and says, we don't have to give you no sources. The black judge puts him behind bars, and all the damn black attorneys in Atlanta, y'all remember that? When the judge put Brian Steele, when he held him in contempt and put him in jail with Young Thug, which is another thing right there. Tell me a black attorney who would stand up for you to the point that the judge put him in the jail cell with you. Y'all, he's over there giggling. Y'all show me a single black attorney who is 10 toes down for you to the point that he's willing to let the judge put him behind bars in order to defend your interests. You name a one that you can say, Jason, this dude right here. And I'm not he's stupid, he's worth a damn. Not he's clumsy. One who's actually worth a damn. He makes real money. And he's like, hey, I can't get locked up with you because I got a big law firm to run over here. So I can't spend no time away from the firm. So I can't really stand up for you like that. Brian Steele said, no, we do not have to tell you how we found this out. You're going to tell me or you'll be held in contempt. You can't do that, Judge. I'm going to do that if you don't. You got till 5 o'clock today. And he's like, hey, you can make it 5 o'clock right now because I won't be telling you at 5 either. Bailiff remanded him. Brian walked his little ass on out of there. And he spent the next couple of days in the damn cell with Thug. because they were, as I understand, they were in the same cell. So I'm like, think about that for a few moments. You that down for your damn client that you gonna be sitting in the damn cell with him? You can't name a single black attorney who would do nothing like that. You know what the damn black lawyers were? They were coming in for moral support, talking about they wanted to defend Brian Steele. So yeah, they made a big show of it. A bunch of attorneys came and they were filing motions. So the legal community rallied behind Brian Steele and he was out like the next day or 2 days later. What I'm telling you is that I couldn't help but notice a bunch of black attorneys standing there. And I'm like, hey, do y'all want to know where your non-present criminal defense attorneys are? The niggas are right there. They're right there to symbolically support Brian Steele. But what they are not is literally standing in court for your ass. They're there for another attorney who does not need any. He's part of a law firm. They got other associates. They don't need y'all. Y'all are showing up for the damn cameras, brother. That's what the black lawyers do. Let's just keep it all the way real. I've been to Atlanta many a moon. The black lawyers want to sit up here and get in their Mercedes S-classes and try to pull hoes down there at the Westin downtown and every damn thing else. What they're not trying to do is be the next Johnny Cochran. Let's just quit playing. They are not trying to be the next Johnny Cochran. They just want to have a good enough income so they can go buy some fancy cars, get a house in Buckhead, and then bull jive for the rest of their damn lives. They are not trying to be Brian Steele. They're not trying to be Joe Tacopino. They're not trying to be Tom Mazzaro. And they damn sure ain't trying to be Johnny Cochran or F. Lee Bailey. And that's the truth. They want to go buy some suits. The female attorneys want to get a Birkin bag. What they don't want to do is be the black legal bulwark that protects black folk. They have no concern. None. Not a bit. Chicago, same thing. What? Oh, hell, did I just say it?
Yep.
Chicago, same thing. Houston, same thing. New Orleans, same thing, except New Orleans is too broke for it. So that's the bottom line. So in all these so-called big black cities, it's the same bull crap everywhere you go. Brother, it ain't no different. New York City. What? Same thing. I said it. New York City, same thing. They want to have their damn cocktail parties and their luncheons and their conferences and their get-togethers. It's like the National Association of Black Journalists, a bunch of incompetent buffoons getting together, patting each other on the back and skirt chasing, and a bunch of aged-out old heifers trying to figure out if they can find a sponsor at the age of 48. But what they're not trying to do is be excellent in what they do.
Right.
And that's real.
That's correct, brother. I mean, I know of a few brothers from Chicago. Oftentimes you get locked up. You see every like 6 months on the news, somebody been locked up for close to a decade for a crime they didn't commit. And more oftentimes than not, they're doing the leg work themselves. These are easy cases. So I definitely got to agree with you on that. These are not hard cases to crack. You got to go in jail and become an attorney yourself practically, going to the law library.
I mean, you sitting in jail, it doesn't matter whether they have a public defender or not. Usually what happens, though, is they don't have any representation. And so the courts are taking advantage of that, and we'll leave them in jail so we can see if we can just get them to go ahead and cop to the crime. Whether you did it or not is irrelevant. You're in jail because you're black. So it doesn't matter the incident that allowed us, justified us running up on you. You're here because you're black. So you need to do 20 years because you're black is what you need to do. So we got you off the street because white supremacy. And your black legal class is worthless, brother. They're worthless. They only show up when they think they can style and profile. Case in point during George Floyd. We had to take matters in our own hands. We here at the Black Channel, we had to take matters in our own hands. And I say we, I don't put that on me because it wasn't just me by myself. I had a bunch of folk who were working with me as far as point me in the right directions. I'm throwing money. I had other folks saying, hey, call this person. I'm telling them, okay, call this person, get with them, find out where they at. Let's make sure about this jail they're in. I want to confirm that they're and what the bail amount is, and let me know, and then I'm throwing the dollars. And we're going to get them on up out of there. Okay, next thing you know, everybody and their mama wants to sit up here and try to get some attention for it. Because I showed you all that, I reminded you all, please understand, the district attorneys in every city in America, they're trying to plead, basically 95% of the cases plea bargain out. They threaten you and they get you to plead. I said, if you can get that number up to just 7 or 8%, that's enough to shut down the whole damn courthouse. We showed that during George Floyd. If we sit up here and just start bailing these people out and they say that they're not guilty, the system grinds to a halt. And you saw that happen in city after city after city after city. That wasn't your black legal class that did that, brother. That was the black grassroots. That wasn't the lawyers who did that. The lawyers were scratching their ass in the corner. It was those of us in the grassroots who at least were able to bring the system to a halt and force the prosecutors to drop the charges because he couldn't handle all these cases. You'll be here for the next decade trying to handle all these cases. That was our strategy and it worked. The legal class had nothing to do with it. They never showed up. They had nothing to do with it. They were styling and profiling on Facebook and making claims. I didn't see anything. I didn't see a damn one. So we had to take care of that ourselves, brother. So when you say you got to be your own damn lawyer, yeah, you got to be your own damn lawyer, your own damn defense, your own damn bondsman. Yeah, you got to do that your damn self because the black lawyers are checked out. They're looking for a white ass to kiss at a corporation or at a white law firm. That's what they're trying to do. And a white ambulance to chase.
Man, brother, for the most part, that's all I got for you. I saw we had Nancy Pelosi and Kente Cloth taking a knee in front of Congress. So the strategy continues, brother. I respect the show and thank you.
Lie. All right, y'all. Thank you for respecting the show. We appreciate that. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi needs to be in handcuffs. She doesn't need to be on her knees. She needs to be in the jail cell in an orange jumpsuit is where she needs to be. That's where Nancy Pelosi needs to be at. Yeah, I mean, look, no, I'm the only person who comes out and says this. Ain't nobody else said this. I'm saying it with my whole damn chest. The black legal community is a bunch of cotton-picking nigga-ass clowns.
And deal with it, nigga.
I said that. I ain't got nothing to be afraid of. I got nothing to be afraid of. They are universally useless. As a group, as individuals, it's like, nigga, if you waiting on them, it's like, okay, that's your ass. That is your ass. If they were on point, we'd all have a bunch of different... You got a whole lot less trouble finding a competent mechanic than you do a competent attorney. And the attorneys have allegedly been through school. Let's just call it what it is. You end up with a bunch of bug-eyed, numbskull Jasmine Crockett's. That's the black legal community. Jasmine Crockett, bug-eyed Kamala Harris. Oh yeah, and guess what? As I said, your lawyers are trying to figure a white ass to kiss so they can get out of being lawyers. How can you be your own lawyer, nigga? You're going to have to read the law books and the case law regarding your case. You're going to have to read up and learn how to analyze the evidence that was in the filings against you. Hell, at least now you have Chat GPT to help you somewhat. You got niggas pretty much got to be their own damn lawyer today. We don't have a black legal community that's worth a damn. They only show up if you're a rapper or a ball player. That's the only damn time they show up. So if you want the really competent folk, okay, good luck getting them to answer the damn phone. If you're not a celebrity or some closet multimillionaire, they're not answering the phone. They're not doing a damn thing. Let's quit playing with ourselves here. Most of them are incompetent. They don't want to be attorneys. They're all trying to figure out how they can move on to something else. The females are hoping that they can go marry somebody who makes 8 or 9 figures somewhere. That's what the black female attorneys are trying to do. The black male attorneys are trying to assemble a harem. So there you go. We got entirely too many black folk with legal issues in this country for you not to know where all the competent black attorneys are. You should be able to name them by name. You can't name any real cases that they've handled. You can't name nothing like that. You can't name any well-known cases that they handled. Michelle Obama never handled any real cases. Neither did Barack Obama. We have a useless lawyer class. They go become lawyers and then go sit on their asses. What they don't do is actually prosecute any cases and got any wins. They don't do any of that. You end up with ambulance chasers and aspiring lame-ass politicians. What you don't have is a competent legal class that isn't interested in ambulance chasing and isn't interested in anything else other than being great lawyers. They want to be great lawyers and nothing else. That's what we don't have. From the top to the bottom, at your HBCUs, you don't see any of them getting, I'm talking about the law students. Let's just go ahead and say that. The law students don't sit there and say to themselves, we are going to start something new. You got all these so-called black fraternities. Okay, your secret societies were supposed to be at least where everybody gets on code about this. That's not what you see happening. All them little fruit booty niggas want to do at the HBCUs and whatnot is booty dance on each other's hips.
And deal with it, nigga.
And with Roland Martin and them, all they want to do is put on their G-string leopard skin thongs and smack each other on the ass. And that's real talk. Mark Lamont Hill and the rest of them. A bunch of dudes sitting up here giving each other lap dances in the middle of the damn gymnasium.
Nigga, what?
That's them. That's them. Now I'll be damned. There's your so-called aspiring legal class. They ain't got their hands on the law books. They got their hands on each other's butt cheeks up in here. These are the dudes. These are the dudes. So it's like, okay, well, in between sitting up here and smacking each other on the ass, can you all have a meeting about how great you're going to do in the law field? And I don't mean great climbing the ladder. I mean how many people that you're going to get acquitted, how many people you're going to defend, how you're going to turn this system around and stop it from just railroading over black folk. Man, they ain't sitting up there talking about that. I'm talking about the young ones. They're not having any meetings talking about that. The spirit of the law, they're not talking about any of that. They have zero interest in discussing that whatsoever. They have no desire to talk about that whatsoever. They never make it to the law firms discussing that. When they're in school, that's not their motive. That's not their desire. So when they leave law school, it's like, okay, they went to school to sit up here and fool around and play around. Let me go I want to make an above average income. Okay, but to do what? Not to they don't want to get it so they can be free to practice black empowerment. I'm not going to say any specific names. However, what I will tell you is that even in some of the cases that I've more recently been active in, the attorneys are concerned about the locals. I'm talking about the damn so-called district attorneys. They're concerned about that. Man, don't let these John Grisham novels and whatever you're fantasizing about fool you. Your black legal class is not really interested in being great lawyers. You know why? Because most of them are incompetent. Then again, most attorneys are incompetent. Let me please be very careful about that. Most attorneys are incompetent. However, you'd figure that the black ones, it's like, okay, can y'all at least be paying a little bit more attention? Because it doesn't take that much more for you to be an excellent attorney. We don't really have our best and brightest going into the law field. We don't really have that. You got aspiring bedwenches, aspiring coons, aspiring buck dancers, and the law is an area where they see a lane open for them. But we don't have it. Let somebody else lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you. We don't have that. We don't have it. If you find a decent lawyer, you're really on your own. In my case, I'm just telling folks here, it's like, yeah, I can't refer anything. I can't refer anything. I can't refer anybody. I can't make any recommendations. I can't do any of that. I can't do any of that. Can't do none of it. So I'm very reluctant to go in on folk about the legal representation because I see what they're having to wade through and what they're having to deal with. And it's not like there's a Brian Steele on every corner and he's ready to take your case and he wants to deal with this. That's not what it is, man. There's not a Joe Tacopino on every corner, man. That's not what it is. That ain't reality. That's not reality. You're very correct. A lot of these black attorneys don't like black folk to begin with. No, that's what I meant by they're looking for white asses to kiss. They're looking to, quote, graduate out of black society. They're just really resentful that they got to stick around your black ass. But in reality, no, if they could all be Tim Scott or Byron Donalds.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man.
They're all looking to do their best imitation of Tim Scott or Byron Donalds. I'm just going to tell you like it is. That's really what they own. That's really what they're on, man. They're not serious. They're not competent. They're not capable. And they've got bad motives for why they even went in the first damn place. So, yeah, I mean, if they're on YouTube, forget about it. That's your proof right there. How the hell you got time to be on YouTube? If you got time to be on YouTube, that is evidence and proof right there. Yeah, you ain't about nothing. You got time to make videos? Are you sure you're not filing motions? You got time to make videos? You got time to sit on your ass to make videos. I can do a live stream. I'm not prosecuting no damn case of getting somebody out of jail. At least I got more folk out of jail than these damn black attorneys have. But yeah, y'all, you got an attorney sitting up here on YouTube. It's like, okay, that's your first sign. This nigga ain't about nothing. He got time to do that? Please stop fooling yourselves, folks. If he got time to be on YouTube, ain't nothing happening. Ain't nothing happening. He's got time to sit on YouTube because he ain't doing nothing. Got clients sitting here with not a damn thing happening. So that's what we end up with, man. We end up with that. We end up with that. So it shouldn't surprise you. If you had most of these folks serious, man, these things wouldn't get this damn far along in the first place. They wouldn't get this far along in the first place if they knew that we had a real, reliable, competent, effective legal class among us. These things wouldn't get this damn far in the first damn place. It wouldn't happen in the first place, man. It wouldn't happen in the first place. They're doing that because the legal community knows what the hell's happening over here, you all. It's not a secret. It's not a secret. I need y'all to understand, they see at the courthouse, they know the damn hoes with their fake weaves in their heads and whatnot, and she's just hoping she can get a deposit so she can make the payment on her Lexus this month. Everybody knows the bull jive ass lawyers at the court. In the legal field, everybody knows the lawyers who are wimps and weak, and everybody knows the lawyers who are monsters. Everybody knows the law firms that they're a pushover, and everybody knows the lawyers that, man, he's the last one you want to see show up. He's the last one you want to see show up. Yeah, everybody dreams about their lawyer being that guy. And I'm just letting y'all know, at every courthouse in America, everybody knows the lawyer he's a beast. Everybody knows the lawyer who, man, the prosecutor's like, boy, I hope he don't show up. Everybody knows him. They know when that particular law firm shows up, they know, damn. It's just like me on YouTube. There's a reason why the politicians and them folk don't mention my name. It's like, yeah, go after them other folk. You don't want the smoke with this one. They know the folk who are bull jiving and just want to be entertainers and just want to get a television show or a radio show or a puppet show or whatever the hell. They know the folks who want to do that, and then they know the ones who, hey, they about this life. It's like, ma'am, do you know that this nigga broadcasts on holidays?
Nigga, what?
Do you know that he broadcasts on holidays? And I said days plural. 4th of July, MLK, Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's. You do know that he shows up on holidays, right? He's here every weekend and on holidays. You know, the days y'all take off? Yeah, he's live and working. You sure you want it with him? Are you kidding me? This guy shows up on weekends and holidays. You sitting here and he'll broadcast until damn me 12 midnight. What? He'll be here broadcasting until midnight. You sure you want to try to go square off with him? This nigga be broadcasting while you sleeping. Competence is easy to spot and identify. And folks know when you done grabbed the wrong one. They also know when you got the right one. They also know when you got the weak one. They also know when you got a group over here who's bull jiving. And they're not scared of you. They're not scared and they're not worried. So I want everyone to take this as a very brutal reminder, which is why I'm going back to the Trayvon Martin case to show you we are up against a system. You should not be surprised about this because we are up against a system. You know, I wasn't going to talk about this tonight. I wasn't really going to deal with this, but you know what? Let me go ahead and do this right quick. Since we are talking about sports, I guess to that degree. Let me go ahead and deal with this right quick and speak on it right quick since we are talking about sports. Because there was another situation that happened earlier this week. So there's no situation. These folks are sitting up here and they're upset. They're sitting up here and they're upset because this happened here. Let me go ahead and suit this up for y'all. Let me go ahead and get this up for you here. I don't know how I ended up with so many pictures on here. I ended up with so many pictures here. So these kids are out there playing football, and this little thugette comes off the sidelines.
16-year-old Addison Honeycutt tackled a player Tuesday night at a football game in Winchester.
I was not.
16-year-old Addison Honeycutt tackled a player Tuesday night at a football game in Winchester.
I was not just going after this kid just to go after him, because that was not my intention at all.
Addison says she was watching her brother get targeted.
Seeing what they were doing to him and nobody stopping it.
Okay, now folks, we all know that you're not supposed to run on a football field or a soccer field or a basketball game. You're not supposed to be running out there interfering in the games. That's what you have the referees for. Well, the referees weren't doing enough. Okay, so you deputized yourself with her mother sitting right there. If you didn't like that, why didn't your mom just pull your brother out of the game? Did you all get that? Why didn't she just pull, if you didn't like that, why didn't you just pull him out of the game? No, they said we can deputize ourselves. Now, remember, these will be the same folks who will tell you, well, they got on shoulder pads and whatnot. If you can't handle the heat, get out the kitchen. These will be the same folk who would tell you that, remember? Or they would tell you that, well, Austin Metcalf, all he did was push Carmelo. The same folk who would tell you that, now if that boy had gotten up and given her the Austin Metcalf.
16-year-old Addison.
Now, if one of those boys on that team had sat up here and gave that little heifer the Austin Metcalf, remember he was beating that girl down, if they had done that, would these folks be sitting there defending it?
Cut tackled a player Tuesday night at a football game in Winchester.
I was not just going after this kid.
By the way, take a look at the likes on it, folks. 110,000 likes and climbing. The white supremacists are so damn mad about this. The gluten-free, carb-free folks, the low-fat, no caffeine, caffeine-free people are so upset about this.
Just to go after him, because that was not my intention at all.
Addison says she was watching her brother get targeted.
Seeing what they were doing to him and nobody stopping it, that kind of made me like the last choice of, okay, somebody has to stop this.
She says another player grabbed her brother's face mask and slung him around several times. When she saw him hit in the ribs, she'd had enough.
That's when I started to be like, no, I'm done watching this.
Her mother, Elizabeth Chumbley, was watching too.
So I'm seeing my son on the ground being attacked. This wasn't just a football play.
Then if you were so worried, why didn't you pull your son out of the game? That's called parenting. What is your responsibility to pull your son out of the game? Because the game is voluntary. If you did not like it, why didn't you remove him?
This was him on the ground being physically attacked by this other player.
So just in case you all thought that Austin Metcalf was an anomaly, by the way, where is Megan Ku Klux Kelly? Just in case you all thought that Austin Metcalf was an anomaly, just in case you thought it was limited to that, it's like, oh no, welcome to these folks over here, man. This is what they're doing, just in case you thought it was an anomaly, just in case you thought it was an isolated incident. It's not isolated. It is not isolated. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can find another one here. Let me see if I can find another one here. Because I did have another one here. ESPN Radio in Winchester. ESPN Radio in Winchester. Let me go ahead and get on that because they're saying that they have additional context. Okay, I'm so very glad they said that. Let me show y'all because I had found this from ESPN Winchester. It says here that additional context on the South Cornersville incident. Incident? You mean the girl out there assaulting people? You mean the girl who ran on the field assaulting people because now it's okay to run on the field and assault people? If you don't like the way the game is going, now parents and their family members in the field, it's now desirable for them to run on the field now, because if we gonna get down like that, everybody gonna get down like that. The next thing you know, they'll be saying the problem with black culture. All right, if it's okay for her, if you're gonna defend her running out there on the field like that, y'all don't really want it. You don't really want it. Trust me, she got off real easy. Please understand, she got off super easy. Because if those boys, if one of their mamas had run out there on that field, okay, that little heifer would have walked out of there with her glasses shoved down through her damn ears. What? On the block I'm from, it's like, okay, baby, you got off real easy. You let these folks' sisters or their mamas or their aunties run out there on that field, okay, they're going to be taking your little ass out of here on a stretcher. But I want you all to see what happened here, because understand how the media treats things. When you're a black minor, they age you up. What happens when you're a white minor? Please remember, this was a middle school game. She's 16 years old. Let me put that in context. She's 16 years old, and this is a middle school game that she ran out there on that field about. They said ESPN Radio Winchester has received first-hand information, ooh, fancy, regarding what occurred on the field, and several details surrounding the incident deserve clarification. I don't know if there should be a comma there, but okay. Due to what they referred to as, quote, misinformation circulating online, the source requested anonymity. According to an on-field source with direct knowledge of what happened, the game had been largely uneventful until a short sequence that unfolded only after a few plays. A South player caught a pass with his knee down and was hit after the play, leading to a scuffle and offsetting personal foul penalties. Okay, so there were penalties. A few plays later, the two players involved received a second set of offsetting unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. The two players involved received a second set of offsetting unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. So she just told you nobody was doing anything, remember? I'm sure she's going to say that her brother was just innocent and blameless. That's what she's going to say. She just said nobody did anything. Are you sure? Because according to them, it's like, actually, they level penalties. How they do penalties if nobody saw anything? Sounds like she felt like it's possible that we had an Austin Metcalf situation where they were like, well, let the boys be boys, but only their boys. The confrontation shown in the video, no punches were thrown at that point. And for those trying to blame the official, okay, because she was blaming the official. For those trying to blame the official, we are told also that there had not been a pattern of fighting or repeated unsportsmanlike behavior throughout the game. This situation developed quickly over the span of just a few plays. This is ESPN saying that she's wrong. Now, if you're looking for the comments section to go along and say, well, we got witnesses, if you think that the Mayo militia is going to accept that, just forget about it. Forget about it. Perhaps the most significant clarification involves how the game ended. The game was not called by the officiating crew because of the spectator entering the field. So you mean the 16-year-old who came attacking the little kids? According to information provided to ESPN Radio Winchester, Cornersville chose to leave the field. Their roster had repeatedly been reduced to approximately 12 to 13 available players because of injuries, and frustration had developed over South continuing to play its starters. So in other words, the team felt like they were outmanned and outgunned. There also has been discussion regarding a young child who appeared on the field following the incident and a penalty assessed against the South coach. We are told that penalty was not because the child entered the field. The flag was instead thrown for language directed toward the opposing coach following the incident. Those distinctions matter. The two football players involved were already subject to the authority of the officials and the rules of the game. If they committed fouls, they should be penalized. If those penalties warranted ejection, they should be ejected. But none of that gives a spectator the right to enter the field and physically involve herself in an altercation between middle school students. The 16-year-old involved has since been charged with assault. Where's my national anthem sound drop? All right, moving right along here. What remains difficult to understand is the number of people portraying her actions as heroic or justified. We can debate penalties. We can debate coaching decisions. We can debate whether players cross the line. But we should not normalize, much less celebrate, a spectator running onto a football field and attacking a middle school player. Officials must be allowed to officiate. Coaches must be allowed to coach. Players must be held accountable for their actions, and accountability must also apply to the people in the stands. Protecting the sanctity of the game means protecting the authority of the officials, the boundaries of the field, and most importantly, the kids. Remember the kids who are playing on it. So, of course, by the way, on ESPN here, you find some of the Mayo militia who's unhappy about that. That's the thing. Some of them are unhappy about that, but it doesn't help you. Trying to be a football player. His sister has basically, you were playing football. Name for me a college recruiter who's going to want to recruit you. Think about that for a few moments. Name a single college recruiter, NCAA, much less the majors, who's going to want to recruit you. After this, I mean, you want to talk about mama's boy. Name for me a single one who's going to want to recruit you after this. Think about that for a few moments. Never mind the legalities of it. Folks, think about this for a few seconds. Could you imagine her saying this at a hockey game? Y'all, can you imagine her running out onto the ice at her little brother's hockey game? What? Remember, the white supremacist Mayo militia is real upset about these things, but to any clown out there who might think that's justified, could you imagine her trying to justify running out onto the court during a hockey game? Could you imagine the mother defending running out onto the court because her son got into a fight in a hockey game? Much less her son was getting beat down during the hockey game. Could you imagine them trying to say that that was okay to do? Could you imagine them trying to defend that? So in this case here, no. You want assault, disorderly conduct. Welcome to your juvenile record. Although unless you have a DA who sits up here and tries to drop charges on that, because if they were black, we'd be talking about black culture, and we'd be talking about rap music and criminalized. And by the way, one more thing. Where's the father? What? Oh yeah. What? By the way, one more thing. These fatherless homes. Where is the father? Where's dad? Where is the father and where is dad? I would like to discuss country culture. Where's the father? Where these fatherless homes? Shout out Bristol Palin. This is the scourge of our societies, these fatherless homes. The scourge of our society are these fatherless homes. So I am very concerned about this kind of behavior here. What the home is the factory and the incubator of this type of barbarism. And to anybody defending her behavior, it's like, okay, just remember, y'all know full well they ain't gonna like it if we decide, well, let me walk out here on this field right quick.
And deal with it.
Y'all know full well they ain't gonna like it if we decide to put boots on the ground on the field out there. You don't want them problems. I suggest you keep your little bony ass in the stands. You don't want us to put boots on the ground on the field. Y'all don't want us to normalize that. You don't want us normalizing folk coming out on that field. Trust me, that's the last problem you want. You don't want that problem whatsoever. Because y'all know us. First we out on the field, then we up in the stands. Damn! Y'all know what time it is. Yeah, first we out on the field, and then after we done chased you out the field, now we up in the stands. It's like, yeah, now where in the hell do we leave them folks? Oh, there they are over there. There they are. So I suggest to all of the little milquetoast, sissy-fied mamas, boys, and white supremacist societies to sit this one out. Every time y'all try this, it goes bad for you. So I highly recommend that calm yourself down before you have way more problems than you can do anything with. Way more problems than you can do anything with. Please understand that. So I did want y'all to see that. So that's the thing that's going on. That's the thing that's happening. Whole lot to learn here, folks. Whole lot to learn. And things are happening exactly as we said there before. We got a number of things that need to get put together. We got a number of things that need to be assembled. This is this has been and continues to be a tremendous reality check. So keep your eyes and your ears open, especially around your neck of the woods. Do not take it for granted what's going on with your children. Be very aware of who your children are associating with, who you're talking to. You got them sitting in the middle of dangerous situations. I'm not really going to go in too deeply into certain things in that regard. I'm just saying to all my brothers and sisters out there with your children, you need to have a conversation with them about the caliber of boys and girls that they are associating with, that they're dealing with, that they're talking to. You need to have a conversation with them about the caliber of them. You start hearing little bedwench talk, it's time to pull your son to the side. You start hearing buck dancing talk, it's time to pull your daughter to the side. If your daughter is sitting up here chasing Zaddy, it's time to pull her to the side. If your son is sitting up here thinking that he's going, well, you know, all the NFL players have a non-black girlfriend. It's like, okay, y'all need to pull him to the side and give him the Emmett Till talk and get his head on straight. Because when these folk get in court, man, if you don't get your kids on code, the dominant society has already got theirs on code. If you do not stop and debrief your children and get them on code about what the real is, the dominant society, I assure you, they already got theirs on code. They already got that, Jack. They ready. They're on the hunt for those who are naive and unaware. That's who they're after. That's who they're after, and if you're available, they're going to get you. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. Shout out to Vincent, Walter, and Sammy here, and to everyone who has contributed for tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend, holidays, as you heard, some days even in between. So click that subscribe button and notification button. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to blackchannelfilms.com, check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work at blackchannelfilms.com. I want to thank all of you for tuning in to tonight's program. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.